Good morning. So in today's video, we are just going to practice some of these sums, these quadrilaterals. So the way I'd like you to do it is if you feel like you can have a go at these sums right now, if you feel like you could have a guess or you know what to do, well, then you can pause the video and try and do these sums. But if you're not sure, you can watch me do the first one and then maybe pause it and try and do the others. Or you can watch me do 2 or 3 if you want, and then try the next one. So it's kind of like a work along video. So test yourself if you feel like you can do it by yourself. You can try and do these by yourself, and then you can fast forward through the video and see what the answers are. And then you'll know, here's where I made a mistake, or you'll know that you got it right. So first question here. Find the value of x and y in the given parallelograms. So find this one here, this x and this y. So we need to find x and we need to find y. So let's see what we have already. We know what this angle here is and we know what this angle here is. So what I'm looking for is what do I know and what can I figure out based on what I know. So I know that this angle here, this one here, is 66 degrees. And we learnt in the last class that opposite angles are equal. So if this one here is 66 degrees, then the opposite angle, which is x, must also be 66 degrees. So we've just figured out that x is 66 degrees. Okay, next we are going to try and find out what y is, okay? What this one y is. Now, we know that 42 is across from it, but it's not exactly opposite. Even if you look at the angle, it doesn't look the same. We have to figure out, okay, what's y? It's not 42 because it's not exactly opposite, you know. And what we do know is we know that this is a triangle inside of a quadrilateral. So we can see it's a triangle. And we can see that this is angle number 1, angle number 2, and angle number 3. And if we add all the 3 angles together, we should get 180 degrees. So let's do that up here. Let's add 66 plus 42. That will give us 108. 108. And that means that whatever y is, if we add it on to 108, it should give us 180, shouldn't it? So whatever y is, it has to add on to 108 to give us 180. So we find out what that is by subtracting 108 from 180. We take away, subtract. And that will give us 72, won't it? 72. That means that y is 72 degrees. And that's how we figure out what y is. Okay, now let's have a look at the rest of the questions. If you feel like you can have a go at these now, definitely have a go. Go ahead. If you want to pause the video, that's brilliant. If not, no worries, keep watching with me. Okay, so this question here, we know that 70 is here, so the opposite angle is b. So b must also be 70, okay? B is also 70. Now, in order to find out what a is, that'll be a little bit trickier, okay? So we know this is 70. And we know that if we add all 4 corners, we should get 360, shouldn't we? Okay? So we want to add all 4 corners, and that'll help us find out if we add all 4 corners, we get 360, okay? So we know that all 4 corners together are 360, so 360. Now, we know that this corner here and this corner here both are 70 degrees, okay? So that means that if we add the 70 and 70 together, we get 140, okay? Now I'm going to take away 140 from 360. And that's going to give me 220. So what that means is that if I add, now I'm going to change the color. If I add this corner and this corner together, I should get 220. Okay, so how do I find out what each corner is? Well, 220 divided by 2 would give us 110, right? 110. That means that this corner here, the whole corner, not just, let me just get rid of a bit of this, the whole corner, okay? Not just the part of the triangle, but the whole corner. So this whole corner, and I'll shade it in black. All right. This whole corner is 110. And the same up here. This whole corner is 110. Now, I know that this is 30, yeah? So what is this? That must be the difference between 110 and 30, which is 80. So this must be 80 degrees. There's a lot in these sums. You kind of have to figure one thing out and then you have to add a few other things. Now, I want to figure out what A is. And I know that the three angles added together in a triangle are 180. So 80 and 70 is 150. So this must be 30 degrees. And we can see that this here and this here are equal. And you might notice that if this angle is 80, this is also 80. And so that leads us on to the next question. Okay, let me draw a line down here. That leads us on to the next question. And we can figure out what C is. Because in the previous question, we figured out that if this angle here is 30 and A is also 30, well then if this is 35, this must also be 35. Okay, and if we know that that is 35 degrees and we want to find out what D is, well, all we have to do is we have to add 35 plus 80 plus whatever D is would give us 180. Because isn't this a triangle, isn't it? If you look at this part of the shape, isn't this a triangle? And the three angles of a triangle added together are 180. So 35 plus 80 is 115. 115. 115 plus D equals 180. So what could D be? What could D be? What do you add on to 115 to make it 80? You would add on 65, right? 65. That means that D is 65 degrees. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So, here we have a few extra questions, or a few extra lines. They're trying to complicate you here. They're trying to make it a little bit more difficult. So, let's first look at this. We want to find, we're going to find E, F, and G. E, F, and G. So first of all, let's figure out what this is. This angle, because this angle is opposite F, isn't it? This angle is opposite F. So if we find out what this angle is, we find out what F is. Now, 40 plus 180, 40 plus 28, that will give us 68, correct? And I know that the three angles of a triangle this angle here, this angle here, this angle here. When you add them together, you get 180. So I'm going to take 180 and minus 68, and that will give me 112. 112, won't it? So that means that this angle here is 112. And if that angle is 112, this F must also be 112 degrees. Okay? And if F is 112 degrees, and this here, let me get a different color. This here is a straight line, isn't it? This angle here must be 68 degrees. This angle here must be 68. And I know that 60 plus 68, let's add those together. 60 plus 68 is 128. So what's the difference between 180 and 128? It is 52. So G must be 52. 52. And this angle is equal to this angle. So we figured out that G is 52 degrees and G is equal to E, so E must also be 52 degrees. And that is it for today's sums. There are a few tricky sums, so they might have taken you a while. But what I'll do is, if you didn't try any of these by yourself, okay, if you followed along with me for all of these, I might ask you to do a few extra sums, okay? But if you did these by yourself and you feel pretty comfortable, you can leave these be if you want. But I would like you to try and do these three sums if you... I'd like you to try and do these three sums if you didn't do any of the other ones by yourself. And if you're stuck, you can send me an email and I'll help you. Otherwise, we'll go through these three sums at the start of class on Monday.